This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach. And what are we doing here? Well, I'll tell you. We are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And that can be in eating disorders and just, emotional eating, stress eating, if it feels like food addiction, compulsive eating. It's not always like, binge eating or bulimia. Sometimes it's just like, I do not like how I feel around food. If I keep doing this for the rest of my life, that is not okay. And I want you to know that there is hope and help and that we can be done with that. And we've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. And although this is a big thing that we're taking on, we're ending eating disorders. We know how to do it. We're spreading that throughout the world. But it really comes down to those individual people, that it's like, I don't think that there is any better witness to a cause and something changing and knowing that we can have a better world than the individual people who their lives are transformed, who the world is a better place because they're a person who's been able to step into their power and be out of destructive cycles and just be able to own, who they are. And it's one of these beautiful things that blossoms into so much more, right? It's like we start out saying, I would really love to just have this freedom with food. And then once we have that, we have our mental and our physical and our financial energies back, and we don't have something that's taking so much, then we get to put those into the things we really care about, whether that's people or whether that's volunteering or whether that's our families or whether that's, just being the people that we could and would be in the world if we weren't having this struggle. So I want to say welcome, and I'm so excited for you guys to meet one of these incredible ladies who has gotten free and just come so far and experienced an amazing transformation. And so without further ado, I want to introduce Lorena. Hello, Lorena. So fun to have you on today. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Oh, and I'm so excited for you and to celebrate with you and to celebrate you. So let's just launch in a little bit and tell us a little bit about you and sort of your origin story, right? Like, how did all this sort of get started for you, and walk us through the early stages of how you were feeling about food and, sort of the struggle that you've experienced.
Yeah, so food has always been a source of comfort for me and something that I've used to make myself feel more comfortable, comforted, and slowly, just in a bad way, having a relationship with food that was something that I used to numb myself and my feelings and kind of push it all down and go to sleep all, what I thought was like cozy and happy, but really numb to who I wanted to be and who I am, and it was just kind of an easy escape. And I started feeling that more and more and more as I was having problems in my marriage, and as I was like raising a very challenging child through some hard stuff, and how just as my life kind of took off in a lot of ways with my career and my marriage and my kid and got harder and more responsibilities, I just felt myself turning to food as a way to just shut it all down. So a stress release, mechanism, I guess.
Yeah, like the go-to. And
yeah,
I mean, for you, what was it? Well, let's go here first. Like, how long were you struggling with that?
I mean, I think I've been struggling with food all my life. In terms of, I remember as a kid, I would just eat all the time, and because I was lonely or bored or whatever, and in ways that I don't think that are kind of normal eating. But it kind of came to a head in the last probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where I started just gaining weight constantly, and sorry about that, where I just kind of started gaining weight and eating more and kind of out of control eating, where I would gain consistently 15, 20 pounds a year.
And would you say that for you that was one of the biggest things of that signaled to you okay, this isn't just something that I'm using as a tool, to numb, but this is something that really is causing some bigger effects? Was it the physical things that was happening for you?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I all of a sudden was not even in my body. I didn't really even feel it anymore. I feel like I couldn't run and jump and play with my kid in the ways that I wanted to. I was always tired, and it was a vicious cycle. just like eating, being tired, feeling stressed, eating, being tired, feeling stressed, eating, being tired, feeling stressed.
Yeah. And was it this feeling of like it seemed like coming in on you, like it just, was getting less and less manageable?
Absolutely. And just autopilot, and more like that's what I would look forward to at the end of my day. And that's what I would want to do. And I was self-isolating and not living, I think my truest, highest life, that I could, because that's what I wanted to do. Just go home and eat and numb and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Lorena, was it harder for you just in a physical sense of just like you weren't able to do what you wanted to do and like, step into the life that you wanted to live and, the people that you love? Or would you say that it was harder in sort of an emotional sense of like, I'm numbing with this doesn't feel good. Like, I'm so sort of emotionally exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, I think when I realized the emotional element of it and how hard it was emotionally and taking a toll, and how I wasn't being myself and who I am, and how I was limiting myself so much, that's when I sought help and found you.
Yeah. Yay. And I'm so glad that you did. So,
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about, will you give us some details on what that was like to be in that cycle with food? Like, what was it like to numb with food? How often was this happening? Like, give us a little picture of day to day of what it's like to have this struggle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd always start off the day with great intentions and be like, okay, because I have this capacity to wake up refreshed, and then through the day, just not feeling so great and being like, oh, what am I going to eat? What kind of treat am I going to give myself? I have a hard day today, and just kind of talking to myself about that. And by the time I would get home, there's always this window where I was putting my son to bed and going back and forth to the kitchen as I was doing it and as he was falling asleep, and just grabbing handfuls of nuts and cheese and salami and just whatever I could find and kind of shoving it in. And I think there are just points where I just felt like I could not get enough and I could not get it fast enough in my body. And then I would hit a point where it would numb me and feel horrible, and I would feel full and gross, and then I would lash out on my kid. I would be like, go to sleep. It's like my body temperature raised from the amount of, this is how I feel about it, like the caloric intake, that rapid caloric intake that I would do to myself. I just felt like my temperature in my body would raise, and I could not handle my temper, and like I just got hot blooded and it went really fast, and especially around when I overloaded on carbs at that time. And I would be really, really, I think, quick-tempered and easily angered, and just a lot of anger would bubble over. And I just remember, yelling at my kid to go to sleep, and, it just not good, because it became, yes, damaging for the people that I love as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that awareness, like what was the hardest part for you about knowing that, the way that you were acting around or the way that you were treating the people that you love most was so related with this thing with food?
Yeah. I guess it was just the awareness, like feeling really bad for one, like that this is not his problem, it's mine. And two, feeling like I was just self-sabotaging and in a cycle of destruction, and that I had this beautiful life and this beautiful son and this beautiful job and beautiful house and friends and all of this. And I just couldn't see it. I couldn't get past that. I was just self-sabotaging, and I didn't even know why actually anymore. Yeah.
It sounds like this feeling of not only the muting and the numbing of, from the food, right? But was it this feeling, Lorena, of all the things that would have been light and all the things that would have been joy and all the things that were right in front of you were things that you couldn't get in touch with because you're sort of keeping your head above water with food?
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like a glass door. You just can't get past, and you can see your happiness on the other side, but the food was just in my way.
Yeah. And what was one of your biggest concerns? Like if you weren't able to get this fixed and it kept going the way that it was going, what were you most worried about just happening with your life and who you were?
I mean, having a really bad relationship with my child and feeling like I was, I never physically abused my kid, but I definitely yelled at the top of my lungs where I turned blue, and that does not feel good to anybody. So having it, really bad effects on my kid, to my body, just, not feeling good in it, not feeling present in it, and my health declining, just I was gaining weight. I was kind of out of control in that way and feeling like just bloated and red and puffy all the time and just not in a good space physically. So yeah, I felt like I would probably die.
And was it more of like the physical effects of, like what could happen as this kept going, that you were more worried about just with what was happening, with the food and, physically and all the extra calories? Or was it just the day-to-day that was harder of just feeling like sort of a stranger in your body and feeling just like that puffiness and that discomfort?
Well, the day-to-day was definitely more, it showed itself more to me, right? Like, because you just feel gross and you don't feel good and you don't feel right. And I would go through bouts of where I could get under control, but it started becoming less and less. And then I guess just the realization over time that this was not sustainable and this was not good, and long-term effects, both on my health and on my kid and my family, was not good for me. So it was like, yeah, the day-to-day is definitely easier to see, but once you make that big realization and connection, you can't unsee it.
So Lorena, for you, like knowing that, things were happening just, physically and mentally and emotionally, like this feeling like this is not sustainable, like what were you trying to fix this? Like what were you doing to try to figure this out on your own?
It's a great question. I was trying everything. A little bit of, not ever eating carbs again. No sugar, no carbs, no dairy, no wheat. Like it was just like a no, no, no. Everything was a no. Weight Watchers, I tried that for a while. I tried Atkins. I tried South Beach Diet. I tried pretty much everything, and I could do everything for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then I would hit my limit and binge all over again and gain all the weight back plus. I tried San Fran Skinny, which they give you the B vitamin injections and diet pills. I did that through grad school and was a maniac. Yeah, I've tried just about everything.
Yeah. And with all of that, like what was the most frustrating thing about working so hard and trying so hard and then seeing after 3 weeks going right back to the same thing and back to the binging?
It just felt like it was me. I just felt broken. I felt like you can see all these ads and all these people everywhere that don't struggle with food, and why me, and frustrated, and it would propel me back down a spiral of self-loathing and hate, and that I'm just broken and it's me and I'm a problem and it's, my fault. And so I would just eat more.
Yeah. I know how frustrating that is to be like the thing that you're trying so hard to fix this problem, your discouragement from that not working is the very thing that like makes this worse. Like it's incredibly frustrating. And for you with anything that you tried, with the injections and the diets and all of that, did any of that like fix the problem?
No, not long term, always kind of short term, and always as long as my willpower, I could like kind of white knuckle it and do it. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And for you, Lorena, like what really motivated you to, I know that I'm so glad that you found us and that we got to connect, and, what a beautiful thing, that's, part of, our stories. And, but for you, what really motivated you to do what you needed to fix this all the way? Like, I know that's always, a scary step to, try something new, to, do something, to have hope when you've been so discouraged, after so long of trying. So what was it that really sort of kept you going, or that helped you to make that decision of like, okay, like I've got to do this. I've got to end it all the way.
I'm not sure if it was one thing. It was a culmination of everything at the same time, of realizing that I needed to fix it, or figure out a way to do it long term. realizing that I was jeopardizing relationships, realizing that I was not going, I was gaining more weight. I was at the top of my weight I've ever weighed and ever thought I would weigh, and buying bigger and bigger and bigger clothes all the time. It was the day after Thanksgiving. I remember this very clearly, that you and I talked. I think what attracted me to your program and what was your just honest conversation about chatter and emotions, and we're not broken, and that we've been kind of taught all these things, and we have to kind of unteach ourselves ways of thinking about food. And it was just came from such a real, authentic place. And then you and I had a phone call, and you were really amazing at making me understand the cumulative kind of, I think, effect of it, and putting it all together in a way I couldn't do necessarily. I saw, I need to figure this out. This is not good for my family. This is whatever. But I think that hearing somebody else repeat what I'm thinking and saying, put it all together in such this way that made it so visible to me that I really needed to do something right now. It's not something that could necessarily wait anymore.
Yeah. And is there anything else, I mean, for you, Lorena, just in being in the struggle, and I know how difficult this is, it, like you said, it affects everything, right? It gets into all of your relationships, and especially your relationship with yourself. Like for those, listening to your story and, who, aren't free yet from this, is there anything else that you would want to say of how it was impacting your life, or really just sort of describing what that feeling is like to be in this cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just feels like you're drowning and you can't get up and there's no hope. And I think the hardest thing for me to kind of deal with that mindset that I was in it's so frustrating that I didn't see that there was hope, right? Like, I mean, I think it was like you're being kept under, but you're doing it to yourself. And that self-sabotage is like, why did I do that for so long? Oh my God. Like, there is a way out. And yeah, I think that it's that for me, is just feeling like I was so trapped and it felt so horrible, and there's a way out, and there's hope, and just to make sure that you believe, that there's a way out.
Yeah. And I know how hard that is when you're trying so hard, like you're working so hard, but you're just underwater with this, right? Like you said, that feeling of like you're drowning, like, nothing's working. And also because there's so many things that are supposed to help this that actually make it worse, then we start blaming ourselves. Oh, well, I'm the variable here. I'm the one who, was failing. All these things probably work for other people, right? We start getting this idea of like, oh, it's us and we're broken, which I know makes everything harder. But, with that, I just want to congratulate you in, keeping that hope and, being open and being real and really, committing to this freedom in your own life. Because I know how incredibly discouraging that can be with trying and trying and trying. And I love how you brought up, Lorena, about this feeling of like, I'm doing it to myself. I know just that can be one of the most difficult things on our soul, of being in this place where, if hard things happen to you, if you get in a car accident, if, your house catches on fire, I mean, those are really hard things, but they happened to you. You didn't light the house on fire. And one thing that is just so difficult in being in this cycle is there's this feeling of like, well, I'm getting diabetes because I'm choosing to, because I'm the one eating the food. My relationships are suffering because of what I'm doing. I'm the one who wakes up in the morning and says, I'm never going to do this again. And then I'm the one who breaks those promises. So it's this really difficult emotional place where we feel like we're doing it, but not knowing how to get out of that cycle. And so I'm just so, so proud of you for, having that hope and that tenacity to be like, okay, like there's got to be a way, and like let's get out from this place where we're drowning. So speaking of freedom, let's talk about, okay, so
Sorry.
what just comes to mind about some of the most beautiful things in your life on the side of freedom? Like, what is most exciting and different for you being able to be done with this?
Trusting myself, allowing myself to do things I've always wanted to do. I just last night did my second class of belly dancing.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yay. I would have never let myself do that before, or think that I was worthy. Having enormous self-confidence and just being really authentically happy with who I am, and having a much better relationship with my son, and knowing that that can be repaired. It's not gone, right? Like I didn't like mess it up by yelling at him, at night to go to bed, but I also am not doing that anymore, which is really awesome. Yeah, just finding myself, I think.
That's so beautiful. I love it. And I just want to bring to our awareness of like Lorena with her glowing confidence and that trust in herself and being able to develop relationships how she wants. I mean, none of those things are necessarily food related, right?
None of them are.
That's the cool thing
Yes.
about fixing this thing with food is like, that's the thing that's stopping so much light, right? Like I was talking to somebody the other day and it's like, like you said, your beautiful house and your beautiful relationships and your beautiful career and your beautiful world, it's like it's there. It's like the sun is shining down, but you're in a dark box and you got to be able to pull the tarp off so that you can let the light in because it's already there. But like when you're in that darkness, it just feels like that's your world. And so, it's so beautiful to see all these wonderful things like trusting yourself and stepping into doing things that like you wouldn't have done before is such a cool thing because it really, so many areas of life change. And just specifically with food, how is your relationship with food different than it used to be? What's better?
Oh, it's so different. I'm not constantly thinking about it. I eat what I want, when I want, how much I want to make myself feel good. That's my mantra since, week 2 of the program. Like I just always say that to myself. I feel like I can eat whatever I want. I do eat whatever I want, and it's always to make my body feel good. That's my main objective. And so I've kept that, and I've, it's not I've done a lot of body acceptance work as well. And so that's part of like going to belly dancing, and you're looking at a mirror and there I am. And like, I love myself. Yay. So that's been really, really freeing for me as well. But specifically with food, it's just, I don't think about it as I did before, and I don't obsess about it. And I don't also binge. I mean, I just don't. Like I eat really good, and I eat what I want, and I eat well, and I eat when I want, and I don't binge.
Yeah,
I know. It sounds so simple, and it's so, it just, I think that's what this program is giving me, is like that feeling of like being underwater and me being my own hand that's kind of keeping me underwater. And then there's just no struggle anymore. I'm just kind of buoyant, I'm just kind of like bouncing with the waves, and life comes and goes, and there's still issues and there's still problems, but here I am. I'm not like, I don't know, like shoving myself underwater anymore. It's just awesome.
Yeah, super awesome. And isn't it so fun how it becomes such a simple thing, right? It's like, oh yeah, I don't binge anymore. I just eat, what feels good. When that would have seemed so impossible, like the fondest dream, like, oh, maybe someday. And then it just turns into such a simple thing of like, oh yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. Like, and I'm just living my life. Because so much of the time we have this feeling of like, okay, well, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to use willpower every day for the rest of my life. And I'm going to be able to not binge.
Yeah.
But that feeling is never sustainable. Like it has to be your desire that's changing, where you don't want to binge anymore, where it's just not a thing that you do, because nothing is sustainable as doing what you want. And when what you want changes, then you can move into all these other things that you want, right? Because it's like, oh, there was stuff that you wanted for your life. There was just this dark cloud over everything else. So
that's right. That's
what
right.
else do you love about being free? What else is just so fun? What can you do that you couldn't do before?
I mean, I think my appearance is different. I'm dressing differently. I'm not worried about my body in a way of needing to cover up and feel shamed. Yeah, I'm just not walking through my life in shame. Like I love being able to play with my son and run around and move my body. I mean, that's a big freedom for me, is moving my body without shame. Like, I'm swimming 3 times a week. I am going to belly dancing. I'm doing yoga. I'm just in it. I'm in it. And as a side effect, I've lost like 16 pounds. Like, but it's not because I'm trying and I'm dieting. It's just happening. So that's pretty cool too.
And when was the last time in your life that just without trying and with no effort and just like, oh, weird, I've lost, this weight? Like, when was the last time that ever happened?
Never. Because what would happen is I would lose a couple pounds and then I'd get 5 pounds back on. So it was always gaining, and it was always like continuing to tip the scales and going the other direction, where now I'm not restricting. I'm eating what I want when I want to make myself feel good and how much I want. And that's what I do. And it's just, I'm like consistently kind of losing weight and feeling good and wanting to exercise and wanting to move my body. And I'm so energetic. Like, that was one thing. This is one thing that has been like a big key for my freedom, is that I have this and I did when I was binging too, but I always have this reset in the morning where I'm like, oh, I love life. And then by the nighttime it would be, dimmed. But now it's like all the time. And in the morning I have so much energy, and I have so much energy throughout the day, and I'm getting so much done. I'm not sleeping, I'm maybe sleeping 6 hours, where before I'd be like sleeping 8 and I would be tired when I get up. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but my body's working, I can feel it just working the way it's meant to work, like naturally.
Yeah, like the way your body
Yeah.
is meant to work. And now that you're not holding yourself down under the water, right? It's like your body can just be in this place where it can do what it does. It can have a metabolism. It can, do all this great energy stuff. You can get stuff done. Like, oh, that is so beautiful and so much fun.
Yeah.
I just want to, like, make note of this pattern, right? Like, so much of the time we're like, all right, I'm going to do the things I should. All right, I'm going to do this belly dancing class. I'm going to swim 3 times a week, and I'm just going to force my body to do what it should do, what I'm going to make it do. And as soon as I'm miserable enough and force my body to lose this weight, then I'll be able to be happy and accept myself.
Yes.
Think of how different it is, right? Is you fix the root of the issue. You fix the binging. You fix the not trusting yourself. You moved into this place where you had freedom in the thing that was keeping you down. And then the natural result is like, I feel like going for a swim. Wow, let's go and let's do this thing and let's be with my son and like, let's have fun. And it comes from just this authentic and sustainable place. Doesn't that feel better?
It feels so much better. It feels like I'm just me. I'm back to being me and who I'm meant to be. And you're exactly right when you say that. Like, for so long I was like, if I can only lose 50 pounds, then I'd be happy. So everything else around me that was lovely and beautiful and wonderful didn't count because I hadn't lost the 50 pounds, right? And then that struggle to lose that would put me in the cycle over and over and gain and whatever. And now it's not about losing weight. It's about feeling good in my body and what I need to do to sustain that. And that is such a mind shift for me. And it's not just good food related. It's good. What's good for me? What is truly good for me? And adding to, who I am in a positive way and not a negative way. I can say, even friendships, some kind of have peeled off in a way because that's not good for me. It wasn't doing good things. Or I could, just, is it going to feel good to go on a walk right now or have a cup of coffee? Like, oh, I want to go for a walk. Like, just, adding positive things to my life where my mindset is the outcome of feeling good.
That sounds like a good life.
Thank you.
Oh, Lorena, I was just so thrilled for you. Anything else on your mind that just maybe has surprised you about what freedom is like, or anything else that you're just sort of savoring in being a free woman?
Well, I mean, I just have so much gratitude to you and everybody on the team. The program is amazing. I was blown away by just the level of love and support I received, and the understanding of like where I was and who I am, and acceptance. And that made a huge difference going through this and being able to be so vulnerable and let it out and share, and feel not alone in the struggle was huge. So that's on my mind, is a lot of gratitude. So thank you. Also, just like, I'm unbelievably happy, and the fact that I can trust myself and live my most authentic, happy life, like it's just the biggest gift that, that I've given myself first, and that you and your team have also helped to create. So thank you.
Hey, well, that's what it's all about. And I love that. And thank you for that beautiful gratitude, Lorena. And we're just so grateful for you and choosing your freedom and showing up and doing the work. I want you guys to understand, Lorena didn't like come into a program where something magic happened and she didn't do any work. And then all of a sudden she's just like, oh, let's hope the magic sticks for the rest of your life. Like, Lorena showed up and she was coachable and she was outside of her comfort zone and she was willing to do the work, and, an absolute joy. And with that comes freedom when you're doing something that actually works. And so I'm just so happy for you and so proud of you. And anything else on your mind for today, Lorena, that you would just want to share that just, means freedom for you, or that you would want someone to be able to hear that is maybe at that place that you were in that darkness or underwater, like you had felt, and what you would want to be able to go and say to your former self?
Yeah, I mean, just trust that there's a way out and that there is freedom on the other side. And um, as much work as you're kind of putting into all these other things that are not working, and consistently you see are not working, that like achieving this level of freedom with no diets, no pills, no nothing, no other than just using, I guess, your authentic being and tapping into who you are. I mean, that's what works. And so just I would just say trust yourself that you can do it.
Love it. That's beautiful. And we are celebrating you. Yes. Oh, just so happy for you. And thank you for sharing your story. It's just absolutely wonderful and beautiful and inspiring. And I'm just so excited to just see what life brings to you, not only in being able to enjoy your beautiful life that was already there, Lorena, that now you can fully enjoy and step into and let the light shine in, but also just the fun things that happen as this keeps getting better. Because you've seen how this works. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Like, it literally just keeps getting better and better because you're just more steady in your freedom. And you're getting to do things and take opportunities that you wouldn't have been able to before. And so I'm just so excited to see, what life brings you as you continue to be free. So congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So appreciate it.
Yay! We're celebrating you. Again, this is Lydia and Lorena signing off, and bye, guys.
Hi, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and after helping hundreds of people move from food prison to food freedom using only their brains, I am confident that anyone can be free who wants. If you would like a free session with our team, you can go to lydialifestyle.com. Would love to see you there.